57 AC, Jaehaerys and Alsyanna found reason for happiness with the birth of another son, Balin. He was named after one of the Targaryen lords who had ruled Dragonstone before the conquest. Though smaller than his brother, Amon, at birth, the new baby was louder and more energetic. Only 2 days before his birth, the White Ravens had flown from the Citadel to announce the arrival of spring. Balin was dubbed the Spring Prince. Prince Amon was 2 when his brother was born, Princess Daenerys 4. The two were a little alike. The princess was a lively, laughing child who ran about the Red Keep day and night, flying everywhere on a broomstick dragon that had become her favourite toy. Mud-spattered and grass-stained, her handmaids and her mother were forever losing track of her. Prince Amon, on the other hand, was a very serious boy, cautious and careful and obedient. Though he could not read, he loved being read to by his mother. As the children grew, Grand Maester Bennifer watched them closely. The wounds left by the enmity between Aegon the Conqueror's sons, Aenys and Maegor, were still fresh in the minds of many of the older lords and small folk alike. Bennifer worried that the 2 boys, likewise, could turn on one another one day and make the realm bleed, but there was no need for worry. No brothers could ever have been closer than the eldest sons of Jaehaerys Targaryen. As soon as he grew old enough to walk, Balin followed his brother, Amon, everywhere and tried his best to imitate him in everything he did. When Amon was given his first wooden sword to begin his training in arms, Balin was judged too young to join him, but that did not stop him. He made his own sword from a stick and rushed into the yard anyway to begin whacking at his brother, reducing their master at arms to helpless laughter. Thereafter, Balin went everywhere with his stick sword, even to bed, to the despair of Alsyanna. Prince Amon was shy around the dragons at first, Balin not so much, who reportedly smacked Balerion on the snout first time he entered the dragon pit. From that day forth, the Spring Prince was also known as Balin the Brave. The younger prince loved their sister to distraction, and Daenerys delighted in the boys, especially in telling them what to do. Grand Maester Bennifer noted something else, however. Jaehaerys loved all 3 of his children fiercely, but from the moment Amon was born, the king began to speak of him as his heir, much to Queen Alysanne's displeasure. She pointed out that Daenerys was older, and that she should be first in line and should be queen. The king would never disagree, except to say that she shall be a queen when she marries Amon. They will rule together just as we have. But Bennifer could see that the king's words did not entirely please the queen. Also in 57 AC, Jaehaerys dismissed Lord Miles Smallwood as Hand of the King. This time he would have the hand he wanted, Septon Barth. When Lord Corbury reminded the king of Barth's slow birth, Jaehaerys shrugged off his objections. He told his small council, if Barth's father beats out swords and shoot horses, so be it. A knight needs swords, and horses need shoes, and I need Barth. The new Hand of the King departed within days of his elevation, taking ship for Braavos to consult with the Sea Lord and the Iron Bank. He was accompanied by Sir Giles Morrigan and 6 guardsmen. The purpose of his mission was a grave one: war or peace. King Jaehaerys had a great admiration for this free city of Braavos. For that reason, he had not come himself, understanding the city's bitter history with Valyria and its dragon lords. If his hand was not able to settle the matter at hand, the king would have no choice but to come himself on Vermithor for what Barth termed as vigorous discussion. When the Sea Lord inquired as what the matter at hand might be, the Septon gave him a sad smile and said, "Is that how it must be played? We are of course speaking of 3 dragon eggs." The Sea Lord admitted nothing. His view was that if he was in possession of the eggs, it could only be because he had purchased them. But Barth reminded him that they were brought from a thief, but the Sea Lord still insisted that could never be proven without the thief in hand, and tried in a court of law. He then said that Braavos is a city of laws. Who is the rightful owner of these eggs? Can they show me proof of ownership? Barth responded with a veiled threat. King Jaehaerys can show you proof of dragons. It made the Sea Lord laugh. He told Barth that Jaehaerys was clearly stronger than his father Aenys, more suitable than his uncle Maegor, and that he knew what the king could do if he chose. But the Sea Lord also pointed out that there were certain things that Braavos might do to the king as well. However, a veiled threat for a veiled threat. The Sea Lord said as follows: "The king could burn my city down to ash. I do not doubt. Tens of thousands would die in dragon flame. Men, women, and children. I do not have the power to wreak those sorts of destructions upon Westeros. My fleets could sweep yours from the sea for a time, but my ships are made of wood, and wood burns. However, there is in this city a certain guild, let's say, whose members are very skilled at their chosen profession. They could not destroy King's Landing, nor fill its streets with corpses, but they could kill a few, a very well chosen few." Barth reminded the Sea Lord that the king is protected day and night by the King's Guard. But again, the Sea Lord had an answer for the hand: knights. Yes, such as the man who's waiting for you outside, if indeed he is still waiting. What would you say if I tell you that Sir Giles is already dead. When Septon Barth began to rise, the Sea Lord waved him back to his seat. No, please, no need to rush away. I said, what if? I did consider it. They are most skilled, as I said. Had I done so, however, you might have acted unwisely, and many more good people might have died, which is not my desire. Threats make me uncomfortable. Westerosi may be warriors, but we Braavosi are traders, so let us trade. Septon Barth settled back down and asked the Sea Lord what his offer was. I do not have these dragon eggs, of course, the Sea Lord said. You cannot prove elsewise. If I did have them, however, well, until they hatched, they are but stones. Would your king begrudge me 3 pretty stones? Now, if I had 3 chickens, I might understand his concern. I do admire your Jaehaerys, though. He is a great improvement on his uncle, and Braavos does not wish to see him so unhappy. So instead of stones, let me offer gold. There are those even today who will insist that Septon Barth was made a fool of by the Sea Lord, that he was lied to, cheated, and humiliated. They point out to the fact that he returned to King's Landing without a single dragon's egg. This is, strictly speaking, true. What he did bring back, however, was not of inconsiderable value. At the Sea Lord's urging, the Iron Bank of Braavos forgave the entire remaining principal of its loan to the Iron Throne. At a stroke, the crown's debt had been cut in half, all at the cost of 3 stone, which is what Barth told the king. But the king was clear that if the eggs ever did hatch, they would have to take action quickly. The agreement with the Iron Bank would have great impact for all the people of the realm over the coming years and decades, though the extent of it was not immediately apparent. The king's shrewd master of coin, JordiGart, pored over the crown's debts and incomes carefully after Septon Barth's return, and concluded that the coin that were previously had to have been sent to Braavos could now safely be diverted to a project the king had long wished to undertake at home. Further improvements to King's Landing, a city still lagging behind the other great cities of the world. Jaehaerys had winded and straightened the streets of the city and put down cobblestones where previously there had been mud, and more remained to be done. King's Landing in its present state could not compare to Old Town, nor even Lannisport, let alone the splendid free cities across the narrow sea. His Grace was determined that it should. Accordingly, he set out plans for a series of drains and sewers to carry the city's offal and night soil under the streets into the river. Septon Barth drew the king's attention to an even more urgent problem. King's Landing's drinking water was fit only for horses and swine. The river water was muddy, and the king's new sewers would soon make it worse. The waters of Blackwater Bay were brackish at the best of times, and salty at the worst. Whilst the king and his court and the city's highborn drank ale, mead and wine, these foul waters were often the only choice for the poor. To address the problem, Barth proposed sinking wells, some inside the city proper and others to the north, beyond the walls. A series of glazed clay pipes and tunnels would carry the fresh water into the city, where it would be stored in 4 huge cisterns and made available to the small folk from public fountains in certain squares and crossroads. Barth's scheme would be costly, beyond a doubt, and JordiGart and King Jaehaerys balked at the expense. That is, until Queen Alsyanna served each of them a tankard of river water at the next council meeting and dared them to drink it. The water went undrunk, but the wells and pipes were soon approved. Construction would require more than a dozen years, but in the end, the Queen's fountains provided clean water for the King's Landers for many generations to come.